Alright, today we'll be talking about implicit differentiation. Implicit differentiation is a lot of fun if you know what you're doing, okay? But if you don't know what you're doing, it is a pain in the booty, okay? So let's take a look at it. Now, normally what you would try to do is get y in terms of x and just work with it that way. So on this one, you would just go, y squared equals x. Okay, and then you would square root it. But here's the thing, you don't know it explicitly. So y equals the plus or minus 241 of x. And you're sitting there going, oh, okay, well, I have to do both. But now there's two equations. So this is the method we do not want to do. Okay, definitely no, no, no. Okay, the thing that we want to do is just go ahead and differentiate both sides. Okay. Alright, so we're just going to differentiate with respect to x of both sides. So we got y squared minus x equals 0. And you're going to differentiate the other side as well. So d dx of 0. Okay. Alright, so now when we differentiate with respect to y, so when we get to this part, this is where we differentiate, and then we put a dy dx right next to it. So we would have 2y times dy slash dx, and then we would go minus 1 because that's what happens when you differentiate x, and that would still equal 0 because 0 is a constant and the differentiated constant is just 0. Okay, now, so the first step is to d dx both sides. So first step, d dx both sides. Okay, that one's pretty simple. Point. There we go. Alright, the next step is when differentiating y's, differentiate as usual. Then write dy slash dx next to it. Alright, that's the new step. Number 3 is solve for dy slash dx. Okay, so in other words, now here's our new variable to solve for. Okay, so we need to add the 1 over to the other side, so we have 2y times dy slash dx equals 1. So we added the 1 to both sides, and then we're going to divide by 2y, and we're going to get dy dx equals 1 divided by 2y. Okay, and there's our implicit differentiation of this problem with respect to x. Okay. Alright, so that one's pretty darn simple. Okay. Alright. Now, if we actually had to find something like, let's say it was x squared plus y squared equals 25, and we had to differentiate this. Oops. Let's get that square in there. Okay, once again, we would still differentiate both sides, so I would have 2x plus 2y times dy slash dx equals 0. Okay, so I differentiated both sides. Okay, and I wrote the dy dx next to it, and I just differentiated like usual. Alright, so I minus the 2x to both sides, so I have 2y times dy slash dx equals negative 2x. Okay, so that's pretty simple. And now I'm going to divide both sides by 2y, so I should get dy slash dx equals negative x divided by y. And there's our actual formula that we can use. Now what you can do is you can actually plug in points to find the slope of the circle at that point. So if we wanted to find the slope at let's say 3 comma negative 4, okay, I would just plug in 3 and 4 into there, 3 and 4 x, and I would actually get out negative 3 divided by negative 4, which would just turn into 3/4. Okay, so it's something as simple as that, to where you can actually find the slope. Now, are you going to face a lot more difficult stuff than this? Yeah, there's going to be some tough stuff. But if you do these steps right up here, if you differentiate with respect to x on both sides, and when differentiating y, differentiate as usual, then write dy dx next to it, and then solve for dy dx, you should be good. Okay, now what if you have like two terms? Okay, so let's actually get a term out here that works. Okay, let's have y squared equals x squared plus cosine of xy. Okay, so we're going to differentiate both sides, so we get 2y times dy slash dx equals 2x. Okay, so that part's pretty easy so far. Now this next part, okay, that is a product, so we're going to do the, well, I spoke too early. That's not a product rule. That is a, what the heck am I thinking? That is a chain rule. Okay, so I would have the plus. Well, it's not plus because when you differentiate cosine, you're supposed to get negative sign. So this should be negative sign. Okay, so we differentiate the first term. So the outer function is cosine. The inner function is xy. Okay, so you're going to have sine of xy right there. So let's put it in parentheses so we know that that's the inside function. Okay, and then you're going to times it by the derivative of the inside function. Okay, and so that's going to be a product. So you're actually going to do the product rule. Well, no. Yeah, you're going to do the product rule. Okay. All right, so that's going to be y plus x times 1, which the 1 represents the y, what happened after I differentiated it, and then dy slash dx. Okay, so I've got a lot of stuff here going on, so I'm just going to simplify it. So I got 2y times dy slash dx equals 2x minus sine of xy times y plus x times dy slash dx. Okay, so we have this part set up right here. Let's go ahead and put that first part in parentheses and we should be set. Okay, now what we're going to do is take this whole part and move it over here so that we can add it over there and then factor out dy dx. Okay, so this is 2y times dy slash dx plus sine of xy times okay, I already made a mistake. We're just going to be moving one part over. So what we're going to be doing, I hate when I make mistakes like this. It just happens and it happens and it happens. Okay, so what I'm going to do is distribute this to both parts and then bring over the part after the distribution. Okay, so it's going to be 2y times dy slash dx minus sine of xy times x times dy slash dx, and that's going to be equal to 2x minus sine of xy times y. Okay, and don't distribute, please, unless you have to do that part. Okay, now if you notice, we have two terms here, one term here, one term here. They both share dy dx. So if we factor that out and then divide both sides by that resulting term, it should make our job a lot easier. Okay, so then we would have dy dx times 2 minus sine of xy times x equals 2x minus sine xy. I guess I just want to sing today. That's why I keep typing that, singing. Okay, so now that we have that part, we can divide both sides by that, and we would get dy slash dx equals, on top it would be 2x minus sine of xy times y. Okay, and then on the bottom, let's get our lovely line. Okay, on the bottom we would have the other part, which is 2y well, it should be plus. Somewhere I think I screwed up and put it. Yeah, let's put a plus back here. There we go. And then right here, this should be a plus because I have to add it to the other side, so that's hugely important. Okay, plus sine of xy times x. Okay, and now that we got that, voila, I have implicitly differentiated a really difficult problem, which you have to deal with a lot of stuff. Just remember, use the chain rule up here to actually get it all set up, and when you're done using the chain rule, you probably have to use the product rule sometimes, okay? Alright, that's it for implicit differentiation. Good luck. Have a great day.